Abu Dhabi 2023 ends with Max on the top step for the 19th time that year. 19 from 22.
Max Verstappen out of the final corner for the final time. Max Verstappen wins 19 Grand Prix in a single season.
The kind of number that makes you check the website twice and then stare at the ceiling trying to remember if any human in any sport has ever done anything like this. He scores 575 points out of a possible 620, finishes with more than double the guy in second, and still sounds mildly annoyed on the radio because the car felt a bit off in the last sector. This is not a championship. This is a man and a machine deleting an entire sport for 12 months and then shrugging about it afterwards. If you watched the end of 2022, you already knew the RB19 was going to be fast. What nobody expected was how fast would actually feel. Bahrain opens the season, and Max wins by 12 seconds from his own teammate, leading from pole to flag like he's ticking off a shopping list. The only laps he doesn't technically lead are the 3 where Perez cycles through during the pit window, and even those feel like a formality. The gap to second isn't close. It's not dramatic. It's the kind of margin that makes the broadcast director cut to crowd shots because nothing is happening on track. Then Jeddah goes wrong. A drive shaft breaks in qualifying, dumps him down to 15th on the grid, and for about 5 seconds, the paddock thinks maybe someone can fight this guy. He recovers to second behind Perez, carving through 13 cars like they left a lane open for him. And the only reason he doesn't win is that his teammate was already gone from pole. The radio on that drive is pure calm. No screaming, no drama. Just clean updates to GP and clinical passes lap after lap like he's running a simulator with the AI set to easy. After 4 races, the 2 Red Bulls are tied at 2 wins each. Perez takes Saudi Arabia and Azerbaijan, Max takes Bahrain and Australia. And for a brief window in April, the paddock pretends there might be an internal title fight. Alonso is lurking with an Aston Martin that keeps sneaking onto podiums. Ferrari has enough pace to be annoying on Saturdays. The narrative says this could be a 3-way battle for the championship. That narrative lasts about 6 weeks. Miami is where the switch flips. Max wins from pole, puts the field to sleep, and something changes in the way the season feels.
Max Verstappen comes out of the final corners. Max Verstappen wins the Miami Grand Prix with a masterclass of performance.
From that race onwards, for the next 5 months, not a single person on the planet stands on the top step who is not Max Verstappen. Miami, Monaco, Spain, Canada, Austria, Silverstone, Hungary, Spa, Zandvoort, Monza, 10 consecutive wins. 10 races where the rest of the grid turns up, runs qualifying, stares at a dark blue rear wing pulling away on Sunday, and then goes home wondering what the point of it all was. He breaks Sebastian Vettel's record of 9 in a row at Monza and does it so casually that the post-race interview sounds like a man recapping a Tuesday commute. The wins come in every flavor. Monaco is supposed to be the great equalizer, and he wins by 27 seconds from Alonso while rain throws chaos at the closing laps, and he just absorbs it. Spain is a grand slam. Pole to flag, fastest lap, every green sector on the board is his. Canada gives him Red Bull's 100th victory and ties him with Senna on career wins.
In 2023, Max Verstappen wins the Canadian Grand Prix to give Red Bull their 100th victory in Formula One.
Silverstone puts Norris right behind him off the start, Lando jumps him in the first corner, and Max just takes it back a few laps later like someone returned his parking spot and he was never really worried.
And Max Verstappen has taken the lead from Lando Norris. So Lando leading the early stages. He hasn't given up yet, but I think Max now has the pace.
Hungary is the one that sticks. Lewis Hamilton starts on pole, and Max shoves past him at the first corner, then pulls away to beat Norris by over 30 seconds. Red Bull's 12th straight win, breaking the record McLaren set in 1988.
For Max Verstappen, who wins the Hungarian Grand Prix, and that long-standing record is gone. 12 wins in a row for Red Bull in Formula One.
The gap in the championship is now 138 points, and the season still has 9 races left. Spa adds a gearbox penalty, drops him 5 places on the grid, and he still wins. The man starts 6th, passes Leclerc like the Ferrari is fixed scenery, and cruises to his 8th straight. Every time someone throws an obstacle at this car, it just drives around it while the rest of the grid watches from the onboard cameras and silently updates their CVs.
What a way to round out the first half of the year.
What an unbelievable race again. That was very lovely again.
The story of the other Red Bull is a tragedy disguised as a contract extension. Perez starts the year hot. Saudi Arabia and Baku are his races, the kind of clean, assertive weekends that make people call him a genuine title contender.
Sergio Perez wins the sprint and takes the checkered flag for Red Bull.
After 4 rounds, it's 2 wins each. Red Bull looks like they have the luxury problem of managing 2 fast drivers. Then Miami happens, and the gap opens like a crack in a dam. While Max stacks wins, Perez starts dropping. Qualifying gaps stretch from 0.2 to half a second. Sundays turn into lonely drives in 5th or 6th, while Max is half a minute up the road winning another one. The mid-season form is so bad that team orders become irrelevant because Checo is never close enough for them to matter. By the time the circus reaches the summer break, Perez is 125 points behind in the same car, the same engine, the same setup sheets, the same pit wall. 125 points in a car that's won every single race. The maths is not a gap, it's an autopsy. Whatever Max is doing with his RB19, whatever feeling he has through the steering wheel that lets him find those extra tenths in every corner, his teammate does not have it. And the timing screen doesn't lie about that. Perez ends the season on 285 points, which would be a strong year for most drivers. Verstappen finishes on 575. He's literally doubled his teammate. The man sitting next to him in the most dominant car in Formula One history has half the points. That tells you everything about the driver and nothing about the car. Every dynasty needs one crack to prove it's real. Singapore is that crack. The Marina Bay street circuit under lights, bumpy tarmac, no room to breathe, and the RB19 just hates it. The car that looked welded to every curb on the continent suddenly has no front end bite and a rear that will not rotate. Qualifying is a disaster. Both Red Bulls are out in Q2 for the first time all year. Max lines up 11th, escapes 3 separate stewards' investigations for impeding, and spends race day stuck in traffic finishing 5th, while Carlos Sainz drives the kind of smooth, strategic race that wins you a Grand Prix in a Ferrari. Red Bull's winning streak dies at 15. Max's personal run ends at 10. The radio from Singapore sounds different. Not the usual calm commentary or the satisfied, simply lovely that he drops after victories. This time, it's short, clipped, frustrated. The car won't do what he wants, and for one weekend, he can't override the physics with talent. He calls it a very shocking experience, and the look on his face in Parc Fermé says more than the words ever could. But here's the thing about Singapore. It's the only race all year where Max doesn't win and Ferrari does. The only one. Red Bull loses 1 race out of 22, and even that one goes to Perez's replacement. The crack in the dynasty is so small it almost proves the dynasty is unbreakable. Qatar is where the maths finally ends the suspense. Max finishes 2nd in the Saturday sprint behind Piastri, Perez crashes out, and the calculator does the rest. 3rd World Championship. Confirmed before the main race even starts, wrapped up with 5 rounds still to go. He puts on the hat, does the interview, stands with the team, and you can tell he's already thinking about the race tomorrow. What makes the Qatar celebration odd is that everyone knew it was coming since about June. The championship wasn't a fight. It was a procession with a ceremony at the end. He clinched it at the sprint and then went out and won the main race on Sunday by nearly 5 seconds in conditions so brutal that drivers were vomiting in their helmets and being carried to the medical center. 5 seconds doesn't sound like a lot until you remember that half the grid was physically falling apart just trying to finish, and the guy at the front made 3 pit stops and still pulled away every single time he came out. 3 drivers needed treatment for heat illness. Max won by a margin that looked like a qualifying gap and walked away looking like he'd been sitting in an air-conditioned living room. That race might be the purest distillation of the whole season. Everyone is struggling. Everyone is suffering. The conditions are extreme, the circuit is punishing, and the guy at the front just keeps pulling away like the laws of thermodynamics don't apply to Dutch people in dark blue overalls. After clinching the title, most drivers would coast. Max does the opposite. He keeps the hammer down and turns the last 6 rounds into a personal record demolition tour. Mexico gives him win 16, breaking his own record from 2022.
Max Verstappen wins the Mexico City Grand Prix, across the line for second place.
The crowd in Perez's home race watches the other Red Bull take the flag, and the atmosphere lands somewhere between polite applause and quiet heartbreak. Sao Paulo adds win 17. Las Vegas gives him 18 in near freezing conditions on a brand new circuit at 2 in the morning, beating Leclerc after starting second. He wins that race looking like the only driver on the grid who remembered to check the weather forecast. Abu Dhabi rounds it off, 19. The record that sits on top of every other record from the most dominant season in Formula One history. He leads, he controls, he wins by 18 seconds from Leclerc. And then he parks the car, takes the helmet off, and walks away from the most statistically ridiculous year the sport has ever produced. The numbers by the end are violence against the record books. 19 wins from 22 races, an 86% win rate that obliterates Alberto Ascari's mark from 1952, 10 consecutive victories, 575 points, 1,003 laps led, more than every other driver on the grid combined. Red Bull score 860 as a constructor. They win 21 of 22 races. The only team to beat them all year is Ferrari, once in Singapore, at night, on a bumpy street circuit that the car never liked. The team radios from 2023 aren't therapy sessions. They're a comedy double act between a bored genius and his long-suffering engineer. GP delivers an instruction and Max either complies with a dry copy or responds with something that makes the timing screen feel redundant. After one dominant win, he drops the signature "Simply Lovely That," and it sounds like a man reviewing a hotel room, not finishing a Grand Prix. The early season calls are businesslike. Tire updates, gap information, the usual chatter. By mid-season, even the radio knows the championship is over. The banter creeps in. Max asks about the gap, and GP tells him it's 15 seconds, and he responds like someone just told him his pizza's on the way. There's one race where GP gives him a rundown of his pace advantage, and Max's reply is so flat and unbothered that the broadcast team cuts away because there's genuinely nothing to dramatize. The only race where the radio gets tense is Singapore. For the other 21 rounds, the communication between car and pit wall sounds like two colleagues who have been doing the same job together for so long they could run the whole thing in silence and still win by 20 seconds. People will debate this for decades. Was it the car or the driver? Was the RB19 so good that anyone could have won with it? Was Adrian Newey the real champion? The easy answer is yes. The car was a monster. Newey himself called the dominance a complete surprise, and the RB19 might be the single greatest Formula One car ever built. It won 21 out of 22 races. Even the races where it struggled, it still had the pace to podium. But the car didn't double its own teammate. The car didn't recover from 15th to 2nd in Jeddah while the radio stayed ice cold. The car didn't set the fastest lap on old tires in Qatar while other drivers were being sick inside their helmets. The car didn't shrug off grid penalties at Spa and drive through the field like the penalty never happened. Max Verstappen did that. The machine gave him the tools and he used every single one of them with a level of consistency that no driver in the modern era has come close to. 19 wins, 1 season. A man so fast, his teammate could only manage half his points in an identical car. A team so dominant, they broke records that stood for 35 years. And a driver who finished the whole thing sounding like he was filing in a feedback form rather than celebrating the most successful individual campaign in the history of motor racing. To me, 2023 isn't a season. It's a timestamp. The year where Max Verstappen took the best car ever built, drove it better than anyone else could have, broke every record worth breaking, and still complained about the balance in Sector 3. People can argue about whether dominance like this is boring or beautiful. I just watched a man win 86% of an entire world championship and look mildly inconvenienced by the 3 races he missed. I would not bet against him rewriting the whole book before he's done. Hit like if you enjoyed watching a man treat a 22-race season like a personal time trial. And subscribe so we can figure out if anyone on the grid has a plan to stop this guy next year.